Hey YouTube, it's Craxy. Welcome back to the channel. Hero Siege Season 8 begins on September 12th, and with that, I'm going through all of my build guides from Season 7 and updating them for the new season. In this video, we're going to talk about my starter and progression build guide for the Summoner Life Stacking Necromancer. This is going to contain all the information that you need to know to league start this character, as well as get it into the early game so you can start farming. And I'll give you some advice on progressing the character up through the mid game and ultimately the end game. So be sure you hit that subscribe button, keep up to date with all my future Hero Siege related news and content and build guides. And let's get started. First things first, just a quick disclaimer. This was made during the Season 8 closed beta with the content and the mechanics that were available at that time. We did not have item spawners for this beta, so all of this is going to be from build trends and past data, as well as me just theory crafting in the journal in game from Season 8. Okay, so for those of you that have not played this before, basically what we're doing is we are life stacking, right? And we're using that to convert our life into damage for our some damned legions. We do that in the sub skill tree. You can see that the damned legion has an aura around them that pulses every second, dealing a portion of their life as damage to nearby monsters. We also increase their life based on our maximum life with a huge conversion amount. So the more life we get, the more life they get, the more life they have, the more damage they do. So that's pretty much it. So you can see we can run over here to these dummies and we're doing damage to them, right? We're doing damage to them. I can actually show you what this looks like in a map to give you a better idea. Now we will have some other minions obviously while we are running through here, but this is the general idea. Right? They pulse on their own. There's no way to increase the pulses. They just do it on their own. They'll run up to things. They'll pop them. They'll do damage to them. Pretty straightforward, right? Now, there's some other things that you can do. Other summons you can have. We're not going to go too much into that. That's all available in the written guide. Let's go through the pros and cons of this build as well as what's changed, right? So first of all, summons did get nerfed, right? They've been super strong. So they no longer have multiplicative damages from, a lot of this was from the charm, or the jewels. You were getting increased summon damage that was multiplicative rather than being additive. So that obviously made their numbers fly off to the stratosphere. This really matters more for the actual summoner build and not for the the life stacker. But summons will no longer double dip on the summon stat. Another thing is vengeful spirits are no longer affected by the skeletal mastery. This is another, again, big nerf to the actual zoomancer. And this was a big part of the build for getting a lot of chains between monsters and stuff. So this here, which is a summon damage passive, no longer applies to the vengeful spirit, which again was a good source of damage for the build. So overall, the summon necro has been nerfed. It was very strong in the past, very, very fucking strong in the past. There's a lot of new items that are going to be able to give it some of that power back, but I think overall we're going to see the summoner in a bit of a balanced state in terms of the actual zoomancer. Now, life stacker didn't directly get nerfed. However, it did get nerfed in the sense that the game is harder, right? The game is much harder. The life scaling of monsters has gone way up. It's going to be a lot harder to kill bosses on it. It's going to be a lot harder to just farm in general. You're not going to put white items on and go into Hell 5 and destroy things, right? So we'll talk about some of that stuff. Still completely a viable build. I would say you're going to have to farm a bit more in that early transition to get into the mid game in order to get this character to be able to farm and say Hell 5. But Inferno, you're definitely going to have to transition into a full summoner to get that damage to be able to farm, in these higher difficulties. The life scaling, you're just not going to get enough, and they're not going to have enough damage for you to push that far. But it is a fantastic starter and really good to farm early game with. And there's some different methods that you could use with magic finding to make this a really just solid magic finder early on in the game. So let's talk about the pros and cons here. Lots of meat shields, a lot of them. You get a ton of minions. You have insane survivability through life stacking. You have a built-in teleport. You have built-in burning for extra damage to scale your damage with it. And the damned legions also crits. You are a crit build as well. However, again, was nerfed in Season 8. We kind of talked about that. Requires transitioning into a full summoner to get enough damage. You're also going to have to do snapshotting if you want to get max damage on bosses. If you're not sure how snapshotting works, there is a part in the written guide that talks to you about how to snapshot on minions. Snapshotting is in like every ARPG. Cannot be played until you reach a certain life threshold. So for leveling, we're going to have to level with something else until we hit certain thresholds of life and damage. So we'll talk about that when we get there. And it is a lot of buttons. Whenever you first load into a game, right, you're going to have a ton of minions that you will have to spawn and get ready. And it can get annoying if you're constantly going through games to, play with your friends. There's a lot of minions that you'll have to deal with all the time. So that can be really annoying if you're the type of person that doesn't want to deal with a lot of buttons or have a lot of buttons on your keyboard. I use F keys a lot. I'm a D2 player, so I'm used to having F keys for a lot of stuff, so it's not that big of a deal to me, but I can understand why it could be annoying. So that's just something to keep in mind, that there can be a lot of minions. So okay, so leveling this character, starting at level 1, we're going to be using Bone Shred, right? Bone Shred is going to be fantastic for leveling. It actually did get buffed in Season 8. You're going to get way more projectiles from that first sub-skill tree point. I think you got 3 before, now you get 5. And these also can shotgun, so you can literally go up to a rare monster, once you hit level 5, of course, and shotgun these projectiles. So like 7 projectiles or 6 or whatever it is right at the start. It's crazy. So very, very strong. You could use this all the way to level 100 if you wanted to. However, I'm going to have you leveling with this until level 40, right? At 40 is the minimum. Around 40 to 45 is the minimum that you're going to need in order to make this switch into life stacking. So for life stacking start, here's what that tree would look like and what the summons would look like. Do not swap until you've hit some of the minimum requirements. I do have that information in the written guide down here in life stack transition. We'll talk about that here in a second. And then, of course, our final level 100 tree. This is what that would look like with the damn legions. Now, for sub-skill trees, I also have all those written out. If you don't know what sub-skill trees are, when you open up your skill tree here, every one of these skills that has a plus sign next to it opens up a sub-skill tree. This is a way for you to specialize the skill. There's small nodes. These are just like basic nodes, and then you have the augments is what we call them. You're only allowed to have one of these augments, and they very much change the skill and do different things with it. So I will have all of these sub-skill trees available in here for you to copy pasta onto your build. You also get a point in this sub-skill tree. You get one every 5 character levels. So as early as level 5, you can put points into that tree and use it to level up with. It's very, very important that you're doing that while you are leveling up. For attributes, while you are on Bone Shred, you're going to be putting 2 points to Intelligence, 2 points Vitality. Get enough energy, enough mana on your character to feel comfortable. Get some sustain from mana on kill. It'll help a ton. Once you move into life stack around that 40 to 50 area, you're 100% Vitality. You won't put points in anything else. Okay? For gearing, before we go to that, let's talk about the transition, right? Let's talk about the transition here. So in order to prepare to move into life stack, you're going to need Wildren Jewels. They give you percent life. They give you 6% bonus to your life. It's a ton. You can farm these in normal. There is a dungeon. It's in Act 4. It's called the Abandoned Mine, right? There's a dungeon in there. Go in that in the very bottom left. I guess I should just show you. Let's do it in game. Way easier just to show you. All right, so we're going to go into a normal. We're going to go to the Highland Mines in Act 4. And then we're going to look for the dungeon. It's right there. Also, there's a couple of copper mines. I would have hit those. So what I like to do, right, is I'll get my boys up, or if I'll use my teeth, whatever. I'm going to run over here and hit these. These are always in the same spot, by the way. So let me turn on my map here. So there's tons of them everywhere, right? Hit all of these. There's tons of them up here. And then once you've hit all of those, we're going to continue moving forward. We're going to work our way down this way. And keep going around. Once we hit here, we're going to go to the right. If I can. And we're going to keep working our way down. Oop. One more down. There we go. I'm not used to having my teleport on Q. It's really weird to move like that. All right, so you can see from there, we worked our way all the way down through here. And there's a giant field of ore in this. By the way, this is one of the best places in the game to level up your mining. Do this on normal, do it on nightmare, do it on hell. But this is where you're gonna get all of the copper that you need. You need to prospect 750 in order to be able to make a wilderness drool. Doesn't take that long. It's basically required though in order to switch into life stacking. Right. And I actually have minimum requirements. I've listed them out for you. I actually might move this one up one. So you're going to need to be level 45 with at least 3,000 life to play life stack. Anything less than that, it's not worth it. You're going to hate it. Play teeth. Okay. That's the minimum. Now, you're going to need to continue building up your life pool for Nightmare to start going through Nightmare. Be at least level 60, and you want to have at least 5,000 life. Continue building your life pool. You want to try to get to around 10,000 life by the end of Nightmare. And then to get into Hell Act 1, you're going to want to be pushing around level 70, 75, and have 10,000 life. By the end of Hell, try to be around 20,000 life. I was able to hit, I think, if you don't have crit, I was able to hit 20,000 life, like 22, I think, is what I went through most of Hell with. And then once I got crit, I was around like 12, I think whatever my character is now, 12 or 13, right? So that's ideally the values that you're looking for in order to push through. Right. Now, once you move into the life stack, or once you move into Damned Legions, everything will just be life, resistances, and faster cast rate for moving. You don't need really any other stats until you want to start building into crit. Then you're going to need to find, certain items that have crit on them so that your Damned Legions can crit, and start moving crit damage into charms and in different places so that you can scale your damage up a little bit, right? But for the most part, all you need is life for the 1 through 100 push. Okay. Same thing, we kind of talk about that with gearing. So pre-life stack, I show you all the attributes or the affixes that you will want on items. Pre-life stack, you're an arcane caster, so you want arcane skills, arcane skill damage, magic skill damage, that sort of thing, right? Still be looking for life on these things, right? Still be looking for life. This will really help once you hit level 40 to 45 to have life in different places. So you can just swap your gear. Makes a big, big difference. Also, be looking for bases, right? You can find a 4-socket base on helmet, boots, chest pieces, shield, weapon. This will allow you just to socket in 6% jewels all around your character so that you can hit these certain life thresholds. It's basically required, all right? It's basically a requirement to be able to switch to have enough life to deal enough damage. Now, once you hit 100, I do have a bunch of information in here, different gear that you will want to try to acquire, right? To hit more life and get, more damage with certain things. All that is listed in the budget section. All right, we are still, I'm still going through some of the new items and the reworks. So expect this to change a little bit from where it currently is. For progression, same thing, right? So because the game is harder now, because the game's a little bit harder now, it's going to take way more gear to make this push, and you're probably going to be hitting a pretty hard wall once you go into Hell 3. You're going to need, you'll be able to farm the zones fine, but killing bosses in Hell 3 is going to be a little bit difficult. So I've gone through, and obviously we have different progression for the life stacker. If you really just want to stay on life stacker and that's your jam, by all means you can do that. So I do have all this information in here on what you would get in order to scale the life stacker. However, I do have the Zoomancer information from last season. Not really much of this has changed. They obviously did get nerfed a little bit, but this is what you're going to need to transition to in order to get enough damage to like push into Hell 5 and kill bosses and do all that sort of stuff. For this section, I'm probably going to add one more section here that'll be just Zoomancer and the progression that you would take with just the Zoomancer, so you can see some of those items on what you should get. Just because I feel like there's going to be a lot of people that are going to have to make that transition in order to scale up. So that'll be available soontm, right? For Relics, if you stay on the crit life stacker, you're obviously going to want some crit damage and crit chance. So you're going to be running crit relics. If you move to the Zoomancer, it's a little bit different. But here's some of those different relics that you would be interested in, as well as life, right? There's so many ways to get life now. It's crazy. These relics give so much fucking life. It's ridiculous. And then, of course, different proc effects, right? We really don't deal with a whole lot of proc effects on this character. But there are some additional utility options that maybe you would want to move into, right? Okay, next, potions. Pretty straightforward. Potions haven't really changed at all, I'll be honest with you. Chest augments, most likely, if you stay on life stack, lethal tempo is going to be your best option. It just gives you the most amount of crit damage. However, if you move into the Zoomancer, it'll be minion mastery. Hands down, it's minion mastery. For hero levels, for the mercenary, mercenaries have changed a lot going into season 8. They've changed a shitload. Be sure to read through all of this to kind of get an idea of what's going on with mercs. I listed all 3 of them with different skill trees, so you can kind of choose and pick based on which one you think is going to work the best for you. Probably a knight merc or a mage merc is what you would go. For its gearing, you can now wear gloves, belts, and boots on your merc. You can put them on your merc. So I have different items that you would want to possibly get for your mercenary. I'll be honest with you, this is very Magic Find focused. I'm going to be stacking my merc with Magic Find. I recommend that you stack your merc with Magic Find. It's going to make the early game farming way better so that you can get more items. And then later on, if you want to do some crazy shit with them and try and get as much damage on them or make them the thickest, tankiest boys in the game, sure, by all means, go for it. But I recommend that you look for Magic Find to begin with. For hero levels, nothing's really changed in terms of hero levels. There's a couple passives on the tree or a couple places that they've buffed up the nodes to give them a little extra juice. If you don't know how hero levels work, be sure to watch this video. I do have this in all of the guides. Same thing for glyphs. They haven't really changed glyphs too much. If you don't know what glyphs are, they're very important for looting, for finding items, and basically tailoring the game to drop specific things that you might need for your build. So definitely give the video a look-see if you don't know what glyphs are about. For loot filters, I will have loot filters available for everything, right? So I'll have starter filters, nightmare filters, health filters, endgame filters, everything that you will need. To be honest with you, this one's a bit easier, right? Once you move to life stack, you just put life on everything, right? You literally just look for life on everything. Quite simple. But I will have filters for starting so you can get going with the arcane side of things and get blasting. And then, of course, the helpful resources section. This will give you additional information on whatever you might need to know from the Hero Siege official wiki, the helper. I have an ultimate beginner's guide. It's a 2-hour video that goes through a ton of different things in the game. If you just need generic information, progression tips, anything and everything you want to know, this will be linked in the guide as well. I'm trying to transition this stuff onto the website so that it'll all just be there so you can click on it. I'm in the process of doing that. So before that happens, I will have this available in the doc that you can check out. With that being said, Lifestack Necromancer is still going to be a thing next season. It is not dead. It did get hit pretty hard, but we do have some options to be able to still play it and move into a Zoomancer ultimately, right? So be sure you come check me out live at twitch.tv/Graxi_TV. We're going to be playing the open beta here on September 5th, testing a lot of different stuff. It's going to be a lot of fun. Hit that subscribe button. Stay up to date with all Hero Siege related stuff and all my build guides. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one.